Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul Keijzers. I'm from the Netherlands. I work for a company called Wortel. And I've been busy with SharePoint since 2001. And since 2007 till 2016, I had my own company called KB Works. Maybe you know my Twitter handle. And now I work for Wortel, a system integrator in Holland. And at the moment, I'm very busy with Microsoft Teams, with integration, with provisioning of Microsoft Teams, which is not completely finished right now. So it's quite interesting. So let's start. First, I want to say a big thank you to the sponsors of the SharePoint Saturday Madrid. I know a few of them, not all, so really nice. I don't know if you already have your Wi-Fi working. If not, please take a picture of it so you can insert it. Yes, no problem. Yeah. A question for you. Let's see, because I have no notes here. We used to call working together, we used to call that collaboration, but nowadays we call it a different name. Do you know the name? It's called teamwork now. So maybe it rings a bell because Microsoft is really pushing it out really a lot. And actually, Microsoft Teams is the hub for teamwork. Is it good to read? I hope so. So in Microsoft Teams, you can have a chat. You can have your apps, which you have customized. You can have enterprise security, govern, and do a lot at these days. So I have a small demo of Microsoft Teams. Let's see. Where we have the activity. In the activity, we have everything that's published and which has your name. It will come in this activity feed. So you are aware that something new is posted in a channel or in a team. You got your personal chat and the teams where you work together with other people in a project. Further on, you have meetings. And in the meetings, this will synchronize with your Outlook. So you can have like Skype conversations, but then in Teams, which is really, really great. And you got your files. So you can upload files there, which actually are, when they are personal, they are in OneDrive. When they are for the team, they will be in the SharePoint side. And under these three tabs, three dots, you have the apps, which you have by default a few. I already have some more here, and you can add more. So that's really a quick overview of the Teams app. And now it goes blank. So I first, that's what I thought was happening. Yeah. So I first want to talk about the provisioning of Microsoft Teams. It's not really finished yet. We have a possibility to do it with Graph or with PowerShell. And at this moment, we have a version 9.3. And I think in 1 month there will be a final version 1, which has more capabilities. So if we look at provisioning, We have, for example, you can have Connect Microsoft Teams where you can give in your credentials and you can create your new team. In this case, I'm creating a education class, and after that, I'm creating a channel. It's good to be aware then that when you provision with the PowerShell, it will create a group, and if the group already exists, it will just randomly choose a number and create your group. So there's always a group, and then there's a team. So if you look in Graph, you will have the possibility to create a group, get the ID, and put the ID into creating the new team. So that's good to know. At this moment, the commands on the right-hand side are available, and I guess with version 1, we also have the possibility to do templates. So at this moment, you can only do the channel, the members, the owners. You can add them, but you cannot add a bot directly with provisioning or a tab, which is what most people want to do when they really extend their team. So, going back to the slides, and it will show. Somehow my Mac is not correctly working. What if you think about apps, because I'm going to talk more about apps now. When you are going to create an app, you have to make decisions. You have to be aware that people don't want to switch contexts. For example, when they are in Teams, they don't want to go to Outlook to do a meeting request. So, or in Word, they don't want to change it. They just want to have one app. But be aware that the app should be lightweighted, because Teams is already, performance-wise, it's not the best app, to be honest. So one place is really good to start your app. At this moment, we have 150 plus team apps. And to be exact, there are 178 at this moment. But that's only the apps that are published to the store. So if you have a company app, it won't be showing up in the store, unless you are one of the big ones. So what possibilities do you have? I will go in depth in everything, but for now, just tabs, compose extensions, bot connectors, actionable messaging, the activity feed, which I already showed you, and the graph and outgoing webhooks. To start off, what is an app? We have to define what we want. We have to implement the capabilities, test the app, and distribute the app. So I already mentioned, but almost there in July, you will be able to publish to the store. So another thing which is great and which is new for people who do not code a lot is the Teams App Studio, which gives you a possibility to create a manifest and a lot more for your team app. So for example, it's already an app which you add to your team, and when you do that, you get the possibility to have a conversation with the app. You can have a manifest, which I will show you later on as well how that works. You have the possibility to edit a card. So I will show you all the things later on in detail. And for example, it already shows you how the code should look like. So that's pretty easy. Also, you have the possibility to check already the commands and the controls that are available, and it directly shows you the code that you will need to do that. So it's a really good start. When we were going further, we want to do real coding. And then we look at tools like Visual Studio, Node.js, Webpack, Geoman. And what is really important, it's possible to do Node or C#. In this case, I prefer to do Node.js because it has more possibilities and it will integrate with the SharePoint framework later on. So that's why it's really important. So let's have a look at a tab. A tab is something like that, what you see on the screen. You can add tabs with the plus sign. They should be really light-weighted, and it's easy to embed. At this moment, a tab is a personal tab. You can have it in your personal space or a channel tab. And at this moment, it's still an iframe, but later on, it will become the whole part of Teams. So let's have a demo on a tab to create with Yo Teams. So we put in Yo Teams, which calls the generator. And normally it should be really fast. You give in a solution name, so SPS. Is it readable, by the way? Yes. Yeah. The solution name, if you want it in the current folder or a subfolder, I always choose subfolder. Then the title, SPS Madrid demo, the company name, Wortel, and then you get a lot of choices. You can choose them all, but in this case I will only choose a tab. When I click enter, and that's hard to read, but there's going to be a URL to Azure where your tab will be hosted. So if I'm, now you can see it. So for this instance, it would be SPS Madrid Azure websites, and you have to create it in Azure yourself. So it's really just a web app. Then the name of the tab, and it creates. Now I already did the creation, so I'm going to look where it is. That's the bot. And that's the extension. That's the tab. So the code it generates, and maybe this is big because I changed the settings to 24. That's too big. Let me quickly change it. It's more readable now, yes. So it actually generates your HTML, which is when I look here in my browser, it generates this HTML. It also generates a manifest, and the manifest actually says what's exactly in your package. So it's got a unique ID. It's got the package name, which is always the other way around as the URL. In the description, you can add the description. Important, in the manifest, you need to have the icons as well, because they will be uploaded to your team. Next, we have a configuration URL, because in my in this default, because this is just a default Yeoman generated, you have the possibility to have a configuration. In this tab, it's a team scope, and you have to add valid domains because you cannot go cross-site. if we look at the demo tab, sorry. If we look here, we have the script, which actually says, okay, what do you want to do in the script? When we go to Teams and we say, for example, we go to the store and we say, important to upload that app is that you have your settings in developer preview. This is really something you need to know, because when you are normally in Teams, you won't be able to upload directly to your app. So then you have the possibility to upload an app, and you can go to your app. In this case, it will be somewhere here. And you see it's a demo, SPS demo tab in this case, and you can upload it and it will generate it. And then when it's generated, you get a tab here, and you can say, okay, what value do you want in this case? So it's really easy tab, so nothing fancy. When I save it, you see, okay, this is the tab that's generated. And when I click on the button, it says, welcome and hello, Madrid. So this is really just simple tab. You can make it as hard as you want, depending on your needs. So let's go back to the slides when they pop up. So, as I told you, minimize the context, design the bytes to size, and don't make it fancier than it should be. And please keep in mind just the Teams layout. So that's really important. So let's have a look at what a bot is. Bots are made for communication. When you default create a bot, it will be dumb. It will do nothing. You have to create your own conversations. Since last week, it's possible to do a team or a one-on-one conversation, and even upload files to the conversation, which was not possible. And we used the Microsoft Bot framework to create a bot. It can do basic tasks, and with Lewis, the language operation, it's possible to learn more in the bot, but still you have to do a lot yourself. Again, context, it's really important. If you want to manage your workflows, we use the Teams SDKs and APIs, which are still in beta, but they will, or at least they're now 1.4, but there will be new ones. And please make sure your user stays in the app. So let's have a demo on bots. Actually, it's the same generator, so we only have to go to this one. When I go yo Teams, and we got some extra settings here as we do yo Teams. I'm just going to enter because I want to speed it up a little. And now it's becoming interesting as I create a bot. Again, we have to fill in the URL. And then we get the message, what type of bot do we want to use? If you already have a bot, we can use that bot. But for this case, we are going to create a new bot. And we type a name. In this case, it's already my home directory bot. Then you have to go to the dev.botframework.com to get an ID. What I prefer is just to leave it like this, so it's all zeros, because you can add it later on as well. If you want the static tab, so no interaction with the tab. And if you have the tab, you can have a name which can only be 16 characters max. So it generates again, and if I'm going here, I will go to the bot. So in the end, it generates this code, which has a source, and in the source we have a SPS demo bot, which holds the conversation. So if we look here, we have a default answer, a help answer, and a food answer. So we can start with just typing hello, and it will return, oh, hello, welcome to SharePoint Saturday Madrid, or help or food. And when it doesn't understand, it will say, I'm terribly sorry, master. So that's quite easy. In this case, I also had to create a dialog with a card, and the card will show you a picture and a choice. So if I go into Teams, and I really have to check if because if you create a bot and it's in Azure, and you don't have a plan that it's continuously on, just a web app that's going off, you have to reload the site, else your bot will take like 10 minutes to get awake, or a little less, but it's good to be aware of that. For demo, I use only like to keep it awake. So now it's trying to get, yeah, it's awake. And as you can see, we have also a button here to add it directly to your team. If I'm going to my conversation, and I'm going to say add SPS demo bot, I get already a suggestion, so we can have suggestions here as well. So in this case, help. If I do it like this, my bot will answer and give, I'm just a friendly bot, as you've seen in the code. But now, for example, the dialog is like SPS demo bot food, where it will generate cards for me. And as you can see, it replies. So we can choose to be vegan or meat. For this time, I will choose meat, and it will directly say buy meat. And as I didn't implement extra functionality, you have to wait, or you have to do that yourself. So that's really a difference. That's how a bot looks. When we go further, it's really strange that my slides is loading so slow. We also have composed extensions. Composed extensions are a bot, but with extra functionality. So, for example, you have a composed extension, which is like an app for YouTube, where you can type in a URL, for example, Microsoft Teams. It will show you directly the videos that are available in the card, and you can add a message to it. It's really easy for people who want to have interaction with the card. So when you compose it, you have to create your own cards. It's exactly the same as the Yo Teams, but then with the extension. And I'm going to show you as I already created it. Let's hope it's going, yeah. Because I'm going to show you something else also in this extension. We have an actionable message. When we create a test, it will generate a test. But what I didn't mention yet is how to debug. And you can do a local debug. So for that, we need ngrok. I've got an ngrok session already. ngrok is an app which tunnels your Azure side to your local side. And for this example, we need this address. We can start it in the Yeoman. There's also an explanation how to do this. What I have to do now is just change the URLs. And in Azure, where we have our bot extension, when it comes up. And of course, it's going direct like this. We have the settings. And we are having an endpoint here, which is important because this is where we communicate over. So I changed the endpoint to the ngrok endpoint. And when I go back to Teams and I say add SPS demo extension, you directly get a few cards. In this case, the demo message extension. And when I type here test, it will look up. And of course, and demo gods are not with me on this one. Let's check. I think the ngrok is out of date. Normally, you should get the cards here, and then you can enter, and you will receive the card like this. I already have it here. So in this example, I just added the picture and add the text that it was put it in. So I can publish the demos if you want, but it's really just Yeoman and it's really easy. When we go back to the slides. When they pop up. We also have connectors. Connectors are easy to use when, for example, you have a Twitter connector or a SharePoint connector. We have a SharePoint connector which publishes the news to a team channel. So when a new message arrives, it will publish directly in Teams as well, which can be easy. But we can also do this with other apps. And in this case, I did I'm going to show you how I did it with Flow. It's really Flow slow. When we are going to the apps, we can create an app, more apps, and then we can connector. If I'm correct, we should have an outgoing connector somewhere. And of course, that's hold on, I know why, because I'm looking in the wrong place. When we are going here, we can have, in this place, we can say connectors. As you can see, I already configured one, but we could do a separate one. When I go to all, we can add like the Twitter one, Visual Studio one, which is really cool. I think because I already did one, it will not do it again. We can create a name, for example, SPS Madrid connector. We could upload a message and click the create button. It's creating an incoming webhook, which with an address. We can copy the address, and if we go to flow, and of course I already did this, we can paste the connector URL in here, and we can create a card. So, for example, new SPS Madrid, and the markdown is pretty easy. If you go to adaptive cards.io, which is coming really soon, you can have the samples how a card should look like. So for this instance, I did it already. And when we do a test, we can do a test, and then we say SPS Med, and we run the flow. And I go back to my team. You see, it just created this this card for us. So that's really nice if you have an application which you want to publish something to Teams. And now my slides back. So the activity feed, I already told you, is where everything comes together for yourself. So when somebody posted something in your team, it will be there. And also your tabs. For now, for the integration with Graph, which is the base of Microsoft Teams customization, you can have a list of teams, list of channels, actually the same as what I earlier showed you with PowerShell. That's possible right now, and I guess in 1-2 weeks there's coming more. So if we look at what's possible, then we talked about channel tabs, connectors, bots and channels, compose extensions, and the one-on-one and personal tabs. But what if I don't want to have the app installed in my environment, which is also important? We have different policies to enable them, and I will show you in my slide. I'm going to try to do it different this time, because if I shut down, nope. I have to do it this way. If I go to my portal and I go to settings, service and add-ins, then we have a Microsoft Teams tab here, where we have our policy to add or remove apps. So you can say in your organization, I want to have just only forms in my application, and you can say, okay, I don't even want the app in my Teams environment. I prefer to have it all on, But you can also say, okay, I don't want my custom apps to be available in the organization, or that people enable external apps. So this is really important. At this moment, it's still in the portal.office environment, but soon it will be in the Teams admin environment. I haven't seen it yet, but it will be there. All settings which have to do with Teams and channels will be in the admin portal, which they already announced also here. But it's, I guess, maybe it works on my tenant here. Then I can show you the new portal. And it's loading, loading, loading. So this will be the new portal, and it will load, where you can do everything around Teams and Skype for Business. And all settings that are now in portal.office will be here, as well as your Skype admin center settings will come over here. Okay. Now my PowerPoint seems to not like me. Let's see. I have to restart the PowerPoint, I'm sorry. Okay. Maybe it's going faster now as well, but doesn't seem so. Doesn't like me. So what's coming in the upcoming weeks? The adaptive cards, SharePoint integration, so no iframe, the one-on-one chat with documents in the bot, which is already there. Provisioning, you can copy a template. The API will be version 1, GA. In the near future, I hope they also have archiving, backup, restore, and distribution through your organization, so you can have your own app store. This is announced on Build, and they said June, July, so I hope it will be there very soon. Feedback, do you have questions for me?
I have one question. Can you set the teams so that, for example, the project manager can see a connector with the Power BI, but not the rest of the users? Can you set the...
No, not at this moment, no. That's really not possible at this moment.
Not all the files are the same.
Yeah, I know. But what you could do is, in your bot, you could do authentication, and then use a user authentication. And if you do not have the rights, you won't see the settings. Yeah. All right. Any more questions? Yeah?
Yes. Can you tell us about any real-life project you have done for a customer or something like that?
Yeah. We did a project about, how do you say, when you go to a doctor, yeah, but in the home doctor. We have made a bot available, and the bot is for the assistant. So when somebody calls, she types in what he has, and the bot will return the next question to get the right diagnosis. And so she can tell, yeah, you have to come over to see the doctor, or it's this and this, and it will go away in a few days. So, and they use the real protocol. The doctors have a protocol where they say, okay, this is happening. So the flow was completely available. So it's really nice and easy to use. And now we also made the bot available on the web, so people can do it themselves as well. It's in Dutch, so it's hard for you, but for Dutch people, they can go to, do I have to go to the doctor in Dutch? And then they can talk to the bot. Yeah.
Do you use Louis?
Yeah, we used Louis there, yeah. I know later on there's also a session with Louis integrated, and so this is really the basics to start, and later the other sessions are more in depth, I guess. Yeah. All right. More questions?
Yes. Do you know when the SPFX integration is going to be available?
No, I wish I knew. I've heard end of the year, but I really hope much sooner. Because I need it as well. All right. More questions? No? For the SPS Madrid, I really recommend to go to the tech community and sign up for that if you didn't already, because it's really a great community and you get a lot of feedback. Juan Carlos is one of the most available persons who directly answers everything. But it's really nice and I can only promote it. I also dropped some stickers at the reception or where the cards are. Of the tech community. I also brought some giveaways, but that's for my company. Take them if you want. Please don't forget the raffle. There are some great prizes. So please go by the stands and get your stamps. And we also got the Office 365 book. Please download it, get the discount, use it. And again, thanks for the sponsors. Thank you.